Hey there, guys. It's Nick, the ASMR nerd, and welcome to another episode of Relaxing Reviews. You might notice something's different. The background has changed. Yes, I finally did away with the old Stormtrooper and Creeper posters that I had in the background here for many, many years, and I have to say, I'm a little sad to see them go. they're good friends. They've done a good job of holding up the background there for a long time. Maybe you're sad to see them go too. But I just felt like they didn't really represent the majority of what I do on my channel here anymore. I don't do a lot of Star Wars content. I don't do a lot of Minecraft content. So I wanted to replace them with something a little bit more reserved and generic. So right now, what I have in the background is acoustic dampening foam. This might help improve the sound quality a little bit. It might control a bit of reverb in the room, and I've actually put up a bit more over there. You can't see it, but and over there as well. But more than anything, actually, this is just sort of an aesthetic choice. It's a bit darker, a bit more reserved, maybe a bit easier on the eyes if you're watching these reviews as you're, falling asleep. So this is what I'm going to run with for the next little while. Anyway, I've got a couple ideas about how I might spruce it up, make it slightly more exciting, but we'll see. For now, this is what I got. Anyway, that's not actually what I'm here to talk about. Here today, I want to talk about a mechanical keyboard. A big surprise, right? This one right here. This is the Redragon K556 Devarajas, or Devarajas, as I've taken to call it. This is a full-size mechanical gaming keyboard, and it happens to be one of the most popular keyboards on Amazon. As a matter of fact, this is Amazon's choice for mechanical gaming keyboard, that search phrase. So for that reason, I thought it would be worth taking a look at. Clearly, there's something to it. It's got a good rating, and I'm curious to see what makes it so darn special. However, it's not only Amazon's choice for mechanical gaming keyboard. This is also the keyboard that friend of the channel, FamKam ASMR, decided to purchase a couple of months back. If you haven't checked out FamKam ASMR, do yourself a favor. Click through in the link in the video description. Check him out and throw him a sub. He is an awesome guy, amazing dude, great ASMR artist, a good friend. But despite all that, he went and purchased a keyboard without consulting me first, which I'm a little bit hurt about that, honestly, Keith. But more to the point, this became a bit of a meme amongst my community, especially over on Twitch. People would give FamKam a hard time about making a mechanical gaming keyboard purchasing decision without consulting me first. So I thought this is a great opportunity to both review a keyboard that is very popular on Amazon, and also to find out if FamKam ASMR made the right choice in his keyboard purchase. So Redragon was kind enough to send over a K556 for us to look at here today. You can pick this up for about $60 on Amazon. The price does fluctuate up and down a little bit, but it's usually around $60, which puts it solidly within the budget range. You can also pick it up direct from Redragon for, I think it's $65 normally, but they also have a 10% off coupon that you can apply right now. So it actually comes out a little bit cheaper buying direct from Redragon. I will put both of those links down below the video description in case you're interested in picking up one of these for yourself. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Is this worth your money? Is there a good reason why it is the top pick for mechanical gaming keyboard on Amazon? And most importantly, did FamKam ASMR make the right choice? Let's find out. And here we have the Redragon K556 Devarajas in box. And as you can see, it's pretty par for the course for a mainstream mechanical keyboard box. It's trying to sort of emulate that razor-like look, I think. We've got a glossy, full-color image of the keyboard on the front here with all its RGB lighting glory on a sort of grayish matte gradient background. Over here on the right hand side we've got the name of the board, the Devarajas or Devaraja or Devarajas or Devarajas. I'm calling it the Devarajas. Mechanical gaming keyboard, it says, which is apt. Over here it says high speed, high control, high response. That doesn't really mean anything. There's nothing especially high speed, high control, or high response about brown switches or about this board in particular. Not that I'm aware of, anyway, but you know, it's just general gamer stuff. Make you play better, or whatever they're trying to bill it as. Then over here we've got a Redragon logo. And that is it on the front. We come around here to the front flap. We've got a kind of mashed in corner, which is unfortunate. That's how it arrived, and hopefully the contents are not damaged. We've got a Redragon sticker seal, which we'll have to remove to get inside. Around this end, we've got a barcode. Very exciting. On the top, we've got a carrying handle, which I guess is handy for carrying your box around. Not that you're going to be carrying your box much once the keyboard's out, but I guess you could then use this box to transport your keyboard to LAN parties or something, if you wanted. People do those still, right? LAN parties? Still a thing, right? Nothing around this side. Let's take a look at the back. On the back, we've got a bit more information. We've got the Redragon logo, or name, up here in the top left. Another image of the board, which looks like a render, to be honest, but that's okay. It says down here, the image shown here is indicative only. The actual product may differ. Indicative only. So yeah, I'd say that's probably a render. And then over here on the right hand side, we actually have some useful information in a variety of languages. Again, we have Devarajas up at the top here. Mechanical gaming keyboard features. I'm going to turn this around so I can read this list of features to you. High quality LED backlit mechanical gaming keyboard. High precision machinery manufacture. Double injection keycaps, so they're double shot. ABS, I believe, not PBT, but double shot's always welcome. Full key conflict free, which is their way of saying N key rollover, which means you can press as many keys down at once as you want, which is a pretty standard feature on most modern mechanical keyboards. Spill proof, I believe it is IP67 rated, which means you can dunk this thing in water for up to half an hour and it'll be fine. Also dust proof. And Windows key can be disabled in gaming. And we have a whole ton of other languages. This is a very international package, saying probably similar things. System support is listed as Windows XP, Vista 7, 8, and 10. Doesn't say anything about Mac OS, doesn't say anything about Linux. Now, I'm sure that the keyboard will work just fine on those other OSs, but the software, which is used for remapping and configuring the lighting and all that stuff, seems to only support Windows XP and beyond. Made in China, and a little barcode. So that's about it. Fairly straightforward and minimalist kind of packaging. Let's take a look inside. Come on now. Okay, well, I guess we're tearing the box with it. So be it. Okay, so we've got, oh, what do you know? We're not tearing the box with it. We just tore the plastic part off of the seal. Come now. This is proving much trickier than I had hoped. Good Lord. Okay, I think we're getting it. Maybe. Okay, I got it. Let's pop this open. Okay, so inside we are met with bubble wrap. Everyone's favorite bubble wrap. You can already hear a bit of pinging just from grazing the keys there. On the front here, we've got some accessories and things. We've got a keycap puller of the unfortunately cheap variety, not the wire type. This type has a tendency to scratch the sides of your keycaps. The wire type is preferred, but this will do the job in a pinch. We've also got a switch puller because this board uses swappable switches, hot-swappable switches. I believe they're of the Outemu variety, which unfortunately means they can only be swapped with other Outemu switches. That tends to be how these things work. But we'll take a look. And here we have some additional mechanical gaming switches, which are actually branded Redragon, which is interesting. I don't know if Redragon is using some other switches and then just putting their own branding on them. We'll see when we pop them open. But we have a little infographic here for how to replace your switches. It basically says pull off keycap, pull out the switch, put in the new switch, replace the keycap. Straightforward. Let's open those up and take a quick look since we're here. Oh, got some. What is this? Oh, nice. Okay. So these switches are embedded in a chunk of foam, and we have a bunch of different types so that we can test different types of switches. They sure look like Aotemu switches, don't they? We've got blacks over here, which are a heavy linear switch. Let's pull that out if we can. So black switches are fairly heavy linear. No click, no bump, just linear. Basically Cherry MX Reds, but with a heavier spring, so they require more force to push down. You can see these switches are in fact branded Redragon. Yeah, they are. Look. Here, I'll try and get this nice and close so you can see. Right underneath the stem there, it says Redragon. So they're using Redragon branded housings, but really these look just like Aotemu switches. Aotemu switches have these box type surrounds, the partial box, different from the Kale box switches. It's just a partial surround, but it's to help with stability. We've got transparent upper housings and black bottom housing. I bet you these are made by Aotemu and just branded with Redragon. I bet. Anyway, there's the black switch. We've also got brown switches, which are, of course, the usual tactile, and that's what this board is outfitted with. Only available with brown switches, the Devarajas. So a nice little tactile bump there. We've got linear reds, which are just like the blacks, but lighter. Very quiet switch. And we've got everybody's favorite. Not really, but we've got the blues, which are the clickies. Some people really like blues. I have other preferred clicky switches, like Kale Box Whites, for instance. But anyway, it's nice that they give us these additional switches, just as a tester. If you've never experienced these various switch types before, it's a nice way to get your hands on some. It's a free pack-in, so certainly can't complain. Props to Redragon there. That's all that's in that box. And we've got a USB cable. Comes affixed, which is too bad. There's no removable cable, but that's pretty typical in this price bracket. The old ferrite choke over here. It's got a cap on its gold-plated connector. And there's no branding on the housing. It's just kind of got sort of some grippy bits here to help you insert and remove. We've got Velcro cable tie, which is nice to see. The cable itself is just black PVC plastic. It's not braided or anything, but it looks to be of decent length. And I think that's it aside from the board. So let's pull out the board here. Oh, it's a heavy one, it is. Interestingly, there is no paper user guide in the box. Nothing about a warranty, nothing about basic usage, nothing directing you to where you can download the software or find a manual online. Nothing at all. That's surprising. Maybe it's in the bubble wrap here. But yeah, it's not in the box there. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. Just being a fool. Okay, so let's remove the bubble wrap. Holy cow, it's thing is solid, like really solid. Here we've got a user guide and a sticker. Hey, we got a Redragon sticker. It's no Iron Man sticker, but those of you who've been watching these reviews for a long time will get that reference. Let's go back a ways. Every once in a while people bring up the Iron Man sticker still. I appreciate it. I hear you. I see you. Okay. So the user guide here looks like it's in every language under the sun, probably, given how long it is. Thank you for choosing Redragon brand to protect your rights and for better customer service. We ask that you note our warranty rules. Within the warranty period, blah, 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 consumable parts such as foot stick and spare parts replacement are not included in our warranty. What is a foot stick? Please fill out the warranty card, which is where? I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in here. There we are. Guess that's it. Does not say the length of the warranty though. OS support, product features, backlighting modes, keyboard functions, multimedia keys, the basic things you would expect. FAQs. And I guess this is the warranty card. Doesn't say anything about how long it lasts, though, but I think it's a year. I'm fairly certain, which is pretty typical. Alright, let's look at this board. This thing is pretty interesting right off the bat because it's really, really solid. This feels like a brick of metal, honestly. It is, okay, so, well, let's start at the beginning. As you can see, it is a standard full-size board with no surprises. The layout is totally standard ANSI 104 key layout. The keycaps appear to be a double shot ABS, as was stated on the packaging. They are unfortunately, let's just pull one of these off here. They are unfortunately the kind with the glossy sides. I don't like those. I don't like the glossy sides on the keycaps because they're really easy to get scratched. They're going to easily get fingerprinted. Now, you're not putting your fingers down in between the keycaps really, but I just don't see why they do it this way. I think it's to make the lighting reflect better, but honestly, I just think it looks kind of tacky. So I'm not a huge fan of these glossy-sided keycaps. The tops, however, are matte. You can see that the double shot legends are actually reasonably sharp, but overall they do have this kind of stencil-y look about them, which is often a consequence of the double shot procedure. On the inside you can see we've got the white plastic. Oh, look at this. What is going on over here? It's like the white and the black have melded over here. Never seen that before. That's probably a manufacturing flaw. They're decently thick with those two, but not the thickest I've ever seen. There's a bit of flex. Overall, these are totally bog standard budget OEM keycaps. There's really nothing exciting or special about them. They will get the job done. The legends will never wear out, except maybe the secondary legends, because those are pad printed quite clearly. Only the primary legends are double shot. Yeah, they'll totally get the job done. There's nothing outright wrong about them. They're not super high quality caps either, but they will last. So that's about what you'd expect. I think we saw almost identical keycaps, honestly, on the last full-size board that I reviewed, which the Bullet Hunter Mark 6, I think. The name's escaping me right now. Anyway, yeah, they'll do the job. They'll do the job. But let's get back to the tour around the board here. So this whole thing is, as I said, made of metal. Somewhat surprisingly. The top plate is a brushed metal. You can definitely see that there. The sides are metal, an aluminum alloy, I think this must be. And that goes all the way around. The corners are nicely rounded down here. We've got these screws on each side, which give it a bit of an industrial aesthetic. Around the top, similar scenario. And the back, interestingly, is also solid metal. Props to Redragon, because typically in this price range you will get a metal top plate and then the rest will all be ABS plastic, but this whole board is metal. You can hear it. It just sounds solid. It's a little bit scuffed here. Or not scuffed, I think it's just dirty somehow. It's got drainage holes, I believe. Here, here, and here. It's got anti-skid rubberized pads here and here. It's got your standard flip-out feet right here. They're pretty small, but they work. Those are plastic with rubberized pads. 1, 2. And then these are also rubberized here. It's got these little risers. So the pads on the front are flat. These ones on the back sit on this plastic riser. So it will have a bit of an incline to it, no matter what, whether you flip out the feet or not. But not much, just a couple degrees. And you can see that if it didn't have those, the board would be perfectly flat. Because this case is perfectly flat. I like this aesthetic a lot. It's very clean. Very clean. You may have also noticed that the edge around the top plate is beveled with this shiny finish, which I've seen on a lot of keyboards before. There's a very typical little flourish on many budget boards. It doesn't look bad, but I do tend that it finds to get a little scratched and fingerprinty over time. So I'd kind of rather it wasn't there. It just tends to grime up a bit. But anyway, there it is. And again, you can see those really shiny sided keycaps. Very shiny. Already looking a little scratched from the factory. You can see it on the shift key there. So anyway, my preference would be for matte sided caps. But the good news is that it would be very, very easy and in fact very cheap to replace all of these caps with some nice PBT pudding caps. I really like pudding caps. You guys know that by now. It's got to be like a Nick meme. But they tend to look really nice. And for like 20 bucks, maybe 25 tops, you could replace this whole board with some really nice pudding caps that feel good too under the fingers. On the top plate here, we have that Redragon logo, which, you know, you could take it or leave it. It's not the worst logo I've ever seen anyway. It's fine. And then we've got our lock indicators, 1, 2, 3 LEDs up here. Yeah, that brushed metal on the front is nice. It's a nice finish. That's pretty much all there is to see in terms of the design. It is very basic. There's not much in the way of bezels, so it's about as compact as a full-size keyboard can be. And I just want to stress again, it's heavy. It's really weighty. And it's very solid feeling. Shall we give it the flex test? This would be the appropriate time to do it, I suppose. I don't expect much flex. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, like virtually none. Because it's all coated in metal. It's just rigid. The whole board is very rigid. A couple other things, though, that we like to check. Let's listen for pinging. You've already been hearing it as I've been handling the board, but definitely pingy. I trust you can hear that, but let's just get this a little closer in case. You can hear how it rings, it resonates after each keystroke. This probably has something to do with it being all made of metal. Also, let's check the stabilizers. Surprisingly little rattle. That is not bad. I expected something much rattlier. But that space bar is well stabilized. A bit of rattle on all the stabilized keys, but not bad at all. These ones are pretty par for the course, the modifiers. It's the space bar that's really actually a standout here. It's nice. Let's just take a look at the stabilizers. I can't imagine they're lubed out of the factory, but it's worth checking, right? They certainly don't feel like it. I'd be shocked if they were. Gosh, I see. This is why these keycap pullers are so brutal. I'm sure I'm just destroying the sides of this cap. The combination. Yeah, I mean, you can see I just savaged the side of that cap. The combination of this style of keycap puller with the glossy sided caps is just bad. Just bad. Anyway, but you can see here, you know, I'll be darned. I think no. Okay, I thought for a second maybe this was lube. There's something shiny down in there, but it's not lubricant. It's just the stabilizers. You can take a look. You can maybe see what I mean there. You can't really see it from this angle, but I thought for a second, just a hot second there, that maybe they'd gone the extra mile and lubed their stabilizers, but no. Doesn't look like they have. That's okay though. Again, not expected at this price point. Or did they? I keep looking in there and seeing what almost looks like lubricant. Huh. There's spots of something in there that looks like lubricant. You know what? They feel a bit, you know, maybe they have. They're pretty rattly for lubed stabs, but let's pull off one more cap here. We need, jury's out. Jury's out. We need another second opinion. Again, just savaging these poor keycaps as I pull them off. I'm pretty sure these are lubed. I can see little bits of lube down there. But it's not very much, if it is there. It's not very much. Here, take a look. I'm going to try and get it so that you can just maybe see it glistening in the light. There's little dollops of what look like lubricant. But the action is certainly a bit rattly still, so that's why I'm a little uncertain. But this space bar, though, does feel nice, almost as if it might be lubed. Okay, let's do one more. I don't want to take out the space bar because it's a bit of a pain, but let's take off the backspace here. Yeah, you know, I think they are. Really minimally. But I think they are. It really looks like it to me. So, yeah, there's not a lot of lubricant in there. Because they still do exhibit some rattle. But I think there's a little bit in there. You can sort of see a little dollop of it there. On the, what stabilizer is that for you? The right stabilizer on the backspace. You can just see it there. Anyway, that's interesting and unexpected, honestly. At this price point, I would not expect that. I've never seen it before. But that might explain why the action on the spacebar is so nice. I'm going to reach out to the representative that I've been in touch with from Redragon and ask them about that, because that would be a really nice touch if they are in fact doing that. Well, I guess while we're here, I'll just show you very quickly. We have the brown switches on here. To no one's surprise, that is the only switch this board ships with. But we do have one other feature. Look at me. Boy, I really scratched that up with that keycap puller. There's one other feature that we gotta test. I almost forgot. Let's pop off that cap. Let's use our very basic switch puller here. Let's pull out a switch. Just gonna rock it out here. Ta-da! Typical brown switch. These feel nice. You know, the action's good. It's brown. I like tactile switches. Underneath, we can see our socket, hot swap socket, our LED, and a green PCB. Just like so. Now, I think these will only take Outemu style switches, as I said, but I will check for you guys. I will try some other switches in here, just in case. Because if this thing does take other switches, well, that's a whole different matter. You know, if it'll take cherry or kale or any other type, that would be really cool. I'm not expecting it to. I'm expecting to just take Outemu style. Has to do with the size of the pins on the bottom of the switches. Outemu switches have these very thin pins that fit specifically in these types of hot swap sockets, whereas other switches have slightly chunkier pins. Now, you can sometimes shave down the pins on other switches to be compatible with this type of board, if this is in fact that type of board. But that's a heck of a lot of work. Really, you'd be better off buying a hot swap board that supports all those other switches. But this one may. I'm not saying yet that it doesn't, but I'll have to try it out. All right, that was a bit longer than I intended for the unboxing, but you know, have to do my due diligence, check it all out. So, as you know, the next stop on our journey of discovery here is checking out the backlighting, checking out any additional functionality, and then checking out the software configurability. So let's get on with that. And here we have the K556 all plugged in. It defaults to this pretty typical kind of ripple effect. So first, let's just step through the basic controls for configuring the lighting, and then we'll look through the variety of lighting options available, after which we'll take a look at the software and see if there's anything else that can be done there. So the basic lighting controls are all kind of over here on the arrow keys and the plus minus keys. So the function plus and minus will control the speed of the effect. So you can see, and that's quite a bit faster. Minus, well, make it chill out. It looks like the indicator lights over here flash when you hit the top or the bottom of a, yeah, so there's 4 speed steps there. That's good. The direction can be adjusted with function left. So we are now flowing right to left, and back from left to right. I should point out, of course, as always, that if you see any flicker in the LEDs on the video, it's just an artifact of the interaction between the frequency of the LEDs and the shutter speed of my camera. It has nothing to do with how they actually look in real life. In real life, they look nice and solid. Okay, function right will change the color. Now, since this is a rainbow lighting setting, I don't know. Oh, we can. Okay. So we've got rainbow, that was 1. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 9 total preset backlight colors. That's pretty typical. We can also adjust brightness, of course. We're probably at maximum. Yes, again, the indicator lights flash. So this is as bright as it gets. It's not terribly bright. It's bright enough, but it's certainly not the brightest I've seen, and it doesn't cast a whole lot of light out from the board. It'll do the job, but I've certainly seen brighter, more vibrant backlights. So that's the dimmest setting, I believe. Oh no, I lied. That's, yeah. So there's our dimmest. And there's off. I think that's the only way to turn off the backlight, actually. As far as I can tell. Anyhow, back up to max brightness. And I believe function print screen will reset the lighting settings to the factory defaults. So that's pretty much all we have to see in terms of basic controls for the lighting. Now we do have a bunch of presets that we can cycle through. Also worth pointing out that, like many other keyboards, you can hold down a function and press Windows key to turn on the Windows key lock, so that the Windows key won't accidentally be activated while you're gaming or whatever. We've also got all the basic secondary functions up on the function keys, like media player, volume up and down, calculator, that kind of thing, which is fairly typical. Okay, so all the lighting presets are over here on the nav cluster, and for some strange reason, Redragon has decided to split them up. So there's 3 on each key. So there's 3 on insert, on home, page up, page down. I guess it sort of helps divide them up and make them maybe a little easier, but I don't know why you couldn't just have them on one key and you just cycle through all of them. But anyway, so I guess if my math is correct, that's 6 keys, 3 presets each. We should have 18 lighting presets, which is quite a few. Quite a few. Let's check them out. Function insert. Okay. We've got just fading through various colors. We've got... what is happening here? It's a breathing effect. Just a slow breathe. And I imagine you can configure the color on that with function right. Yes, you can. You can probably do that on all these. Oops, cycled too far. I'll keep this on the rainbow setting for now because I like it. Okay, and a static option, I guess. Yes, so this is just a static light. The circular way in which lights change is pleasing. Okay, so that should be everything under insert. It is function home. This is reactive mode, it looks like. Indeed it is. Oops, changed the color. That was not what I meant to do, but that's okay. And there we go. Another reactive mode where just the individual keys light up. And horizontal lines shooting out. Over here under, okay, we've got a very, very chunky looking sine wave. We can adjust the speed with function left. I think it's function left, isn't it? No, that's the direction. Pardon me. Function plus. Okay, so that's as fast as that goes. That looks a little smoother, doesn't it? But on its slower speeds, it's pretty chunky looking. It's not even a real proper sine wave. It's kind of uneven. It's a wave though. Looks all right. Don't mind it. All right. What else? Function page up. Yes, we've seen this on other keyboards before. Comes in from the side, swirls around, shoots out. And, oh, this is kind of cool. It's kind of like sparkling stars, but it's a little more like the Matrix or something, you know, like stuff coming down. All right, under the delete key, we have our classic wave. We've got this sort of a more chill wave. It's like more of the board is one color and it kind of sweeps by. I don't mind that. Let's turn it down in speed just to chill it out a little. That's kind of nice. Oh, this is kind of a rotating around the board in RGB. Okay, under the end key, I'm not sure what this is. I don't think it's... Oh, it is. Very slowly animated. Interesting. So this is kind of a raindrops mode. And vertical rolling color stripes. Finally under the page down key. Okay, so we have kind of a diagonal bouncing back and forth. What is this? Not reactive. I'm not sure. Interesting. And oh, okay, so the rainbow ripple, but the concentric circles of rainbow ripple, which again, we've seen pretty much all of these lighting effects on other boards at other times, but this is a fairly standard complement of RGB effects, and they're pretty nice. It's good that you have hardware control over speed and direction and brightness, and you can cycle colors, it looks like, on each of the options. The speed settings seem reasonable. It's not, the slowest option is nice and chill. The fastest option, not that fast, but reasonable. Anyway, yeah, I think the hardware lighting controls are pretty par for the course, maybe slightly above average, just because we do have a good number of options here. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to take a look at the software. Let's check it out. All right, here we have Redragon's configuration software. To their credit, it was readily available from their website, which is more than I can say for many of the manufacturers that I review keyboards from. It is, however, simply called Mechanical Gaming Keyboard, which is a very generic name. It doesn't call it Redragon or anything. The installer, anyway, and the icon on the desktop is very generic. Once you get into the software here, you can see it does have some Redragon branding. We've got this kind of, honestly, very typical looking, kind of gamery, but ultimately pretty simple kind of interface. A little bit low rent looking, The Redragon branding here, the logo, Devarajas, mechanical gaming keyboard, so it has correctly identified the model of keyboard we have plugged in, which is to be expected because you download a piece of software specific to your keyboard. So I downloaded the K556 version. Again, all you have to do is go to the Redragon website, just Google Redragon, go to the downloads page, and it's right there. So nice and easy. So we are greeted with this schematic or just picture of the keyboard, not even a schematic. We can select individual keys. We can rebind it to a different key press. I don't quite know what this does. That probably resets it. We can set it to a macro, which we can record by the looks of it over here on the left, or we can give it a media setting, which is basically the shortcuts we have along the top here. They're standard Windows media controls. We can also adjust the polling rate, and I've noticed that it seems to default to 125 hertz polling rate. That is very low. I don't know why it would do that, but let's just pop it up to 1000 hertz here. There's really no reason not to. Oh, the software disappeared. Okay. Didn't realize that would close it. It lives down in the system tray once you've installed it, and you can open it by right-clicking the icon on the system tray and bringing it back up. Okay, so I guess we're now operating at 1000 hertz polling rate. The polling rate is just the rate at which the keyboard sends information back and forth to your PC. And for faster response times, well, you probably want a higher polling rate. Okay, so yeah, we have per key configurability here, which is good. Looks like we have different profiles. So profile 2, it changes the lighting back to the default. That makes sense. Profile 1 retains the lighting setting that we set in hardware. That's good. Let's take a look at the macros. Okay, so we have a little macro recorder here, which is actually exactly the same as the one that popped up when we went to configure a macro. So presumably you can record one, the name appears there. Yeah, it is identical, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So let's make a new one. Let's call this test. And go plus. Oh, no, macro 1. I see we have to rename it now. Okay. And then let's record. Let's make it go TYHN. Okay. Turn off recording mode. There we are. It looks like it inserts default delay between of 50 milliseconds. We can configure that, which is great. You can tell it to record the delay as pressed, which is nice, as opposed to just defaulting. Looks like you can change the number of times that a particular thing, key press cycles, and it records the individual up and down actions of each key. My only quibble here, you can change the ordering as well. And you can delete individual steps if you want. You can clear the whole thing. Really need to clear the macro action? Yes, really need. We can delete the whole thing, presumably. Oh no, there. There. The only thing that I would complain about there is that the window is very tiny. I don't know why they make it so small. I wish I could resize it, but anyway, so that's your pretty typical macro recording functionality. Let's take a look at lighting configurations. So here we are. Okay, this one that we're on right now is Fast and Furious. Sometimes I just like looking at the names of these things. Let's check them out. Go with the stream. So that's our default wave pattern. We can change, we can set the color here. We can give, we do have good full RGB color control through the Windows, just typical color selection interface. We can change the direction with a picture of a little running dude. It looks like he's skateboarding, honestly. And it looks like, do these things take action immediately? They do, yeah. So that's nice. Clouds fly, winding paths, trial of light. Sure, those are some good names. Normally on. That's just the solid color option. Pass without trace. I assume that's a reactive mode. Yes. Oh no, it's the, oh, sorry, I changed it there. Pass without trace. Yeah. It's just the individual illumination. Snow Winter Jasmine. Okay. I don't think, this does not make me think particularly of Snow Winter Jasmine, but that's okay. Coastal. Oh. Coastal looks like it's some kind of configurable thing here. So, do we have per key backlighting configuration? I don't see that we do. We can't select individual keys here, unfortunately. Oh, what is tool? Erase. Okay, we can do that. Can we? Oh, maybe because I have color off. Oh, there we go. Yes, we do. We do, in fact, have perky backlighting, and we can set the color to any of the options, which is great. These are presets, I guess, but okay, well, there you have it, friends. A fairly straightforward, simple, relatively clean, if a little bit janky looking piece of software. It does what you'd expect it to. No more, no less, really. Glad to see that we have perky rebinding and lighting configuration as well as macro recording. All right, friends, it is time for us to go to the typing test. Let's go back to Fast and Furious. Where is that? There, Fast and the Furious. I love it. All right, let's hear how these brown switches sound in action. Alright, so we did the unboxing. We took a close look at this board backwards and forwards. We looked at the RGB backlighting and basic functionality of the K556. We looked at the software, which was a little bit janky and uninspiring, but it certainly gets the job done. It seems to be totally functional. And of course, we took the board for a typing test, which you guys got to see and hear just now. Overall, I've quite enjoyed the typing experience on this board. The switches, I'm 99% sure must be of Temu Browns, just with the Redragon branding stamped on the casings. They feel, as one would expect, out of a Cherry MX Brown clone, which is to say, pretty darn good. Maybe a little scratchier than some other slightly more exotic tactile switches, but generally a satisfying typing experience. Good QC on the switches, they all felt nice and consistent. And because the board is so solid, like a brick of solid metal, there's not that much in the way of pinging or reverberation or rattle in the board. So overall, a very pleasant typing experience on the K556. So, having said that, it's time for us to run down the pros and the cons of the K556 before I give you my final verdict. And you guys know me, I'm a positive kind of guy, so I like to start with the pros. Over here in the pros column, we've got quite a list actually. First thing I have to call out is that anodized aluminum case. It looks fantastic, it feels fantastic, it is really, really solid and absolutely a cut above what you come to expect in this price range at the $60 price point. It feels really solid for a budget keyboard. Continuing the trend of good build quality, we have double shot keycaps now. They are ABS, and I'm not crazy about the feel and the aesthetics. We'll talk about that in a moment, but they're going to last you a long time at the very least. The double shot plastic molding construction ensures that the legends, at least the primary legends, are never going to wear out, although the secondary legends are pad printed, but that's very typical, so I can't complain too much. I was also really impressed with the inclusion of hot-swappable sockets, hot-swappable switches. This is something that we've been seeing creeping into the budget segment more and more. I reviewed the Bullet Hunter keyboard a little while back that also had hot swap sockets. This greatly increases the versatility of a board because it means you're not stuck with the stock switches. However, there is a limitation, and that's that this will only take up Temu style switches with the narrower contact pins. Cherry style switches, Kale style switches, Zelios, these switches won't fit in these sockets without modification. You can trim the contact pins on those types of switches, but that's a huge pain in the butt. So I did test it out. I was unable to get those to fit. So you're stuck without Temu switches, which is really not so terrible. Temu actually offers a lot of very interesting switches beyond the basic ones that were included, by the way, as testers with this keyboard, which was nice to see. That was a nice little pack-in. So anyway, limited hot swap, but hot swap nonetheless is to be commended. Another thing to be commended is Redragon's general attention to detail with this board, as evidenced by, for example, the lubed stabilizers. Not something I expected to see at this price point. Really impressed with Redragon doing that there. Two more things to call out about this board in the pros: 18-month warranty and a $60 price point. 18-month, much more than standard, or 6 months more than standard. A year is typical at this price point, and $60, excellent price point considering the quality of this board. Over here on the cons side of things, I only have two small things to mention, really. The first is the non-removable cable is a bit of a bummer. I really would like to see even budget keyboards like the K556 move towards a modular cable design, just because it would allow you to swap it out with something that fits your aesthetic better. Maybe one that's got a braided sleeve or something like that. it's just nice to have the flexibility, and I don't see why they wouldn't manufacture them that way. The second thing is that the keycaps, despite being double shot, the keycaps do feel cheap, and they look cheap too. This is very typical of keyboards in this price range, but the font just doesn't look that great, and the double shot technology being used is pretty primitive. It feels a generation or two old in that you've got that kind of stencil style look to a lot of the letters, and the sizes of certain characters don't quite line up the way you would want them to. Overall, it just looks a little bit messy, and the more I used the board and looked at those legends, the less and less I liked them. So ultimately, even though they are going to last you forever, they just don't look or feel that nice to use. Also, those glossy sides, I do not like the glossy sides on the switches. This is, again, something I've seen on other budget keyboards before, and I cannot get with it. I don't like it. But the good news is, it's a totally standard layout, so pick up some inexpensive PBT caps, slap them on there, for 20 bucks, 25 bucks, and it's going to look fantastic. Nevertheless, I just wish that it would ship with some slightly nicer caps stock. So what then is my final verdict on Redragon's K556 Devarajas keyboard? Well, it is pretty darn solid. It offers everything you would expect out of a budget-oriented mechanical keyboard very competently. It's got double-shot ABS caps. It's got your typical cherry clone style switches provided by Outemu in this case. It's got full RGB backlighting, which is not the best or brightest I've seen, but it's not bad either, with per key configurability, as well as the software that lets you control backlighting and macros and key remapping and those sorts of things. That's kind of the base level you expect from a full-size mechanical gaming keyboard around the $50 or $60 price point these days. However, the K556 goes over and above with features like hot-swappable sockets. Granted, Outemu switches only, but still, I'd rather have that than none. With attention to detail in aspects like the lubed stabilizers. That was a surprise to see, but much appreciated. But the real standout of the K556 is the build quality and that heavy, solid, anodized brushed aluminum case. It feels really, really good. I had only a couple of minor quibbles with this board, namely the non-detachable USB cable and the keycaps, which, while they're made solidly, they don't look or feel that great. But honestly, pick up some inexpensive PBT caps, maybe some pudding caps or some other shine-through PBT caps. Slap them on here for 20 or 25 bucks, and you are off to the races with a very, very solid budget gaming mechanical keyboard for a really reasonable price, around the $60 price point. So Redragon, well done. And FamKam ASMR, my buddy Keith, you did good. You made a right choice. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of another relaxing review. Special thanks, of course, to Redragon, who provided the review sample that we looked at here in this video. And if you are interested in checking out the K556 Devarajas, you can click through on the Amazon link below the video, or you can get it direct from Redragon for a little bit cheaper if you use the coupon that's currently available on their website. Shout out to FamKam ASMR. I hope you don't mind me with this good-natured ribbing here. Of course, you made a good choice with this keyboard, clearly, but I hope you don't mind my community and me teasing you a little bit about that. It was fun. But yeah, this is a fantastic board. Please, guys, go check out Keith FamKam ASMR. Link is down below this video. He's here on YouTube. He also streams on Twitch. Just an awesome, awesome dude. Can't recommend his stuff enough either. So please go drop him a sub. And of course, special thanks to all of you guys for watching. I hope you found this informative. I hope you found it relaxing. And I look very forward to having you back here next time for another episode of relaxing reviews. Bye for now, guys.